Welcome to Beyond the Pod, presented by SodaStick.com.
Brunette, he moves, Brunette back in, he scores! Minnesota has upset the Colorado Avalanche! Andrew Brunette, the game-winning goal!
Here are your hosts, the second greatest scorer in Gopher hockey history, Pat Micheletti, and the second greatest hockey analyst on this podcast, Brandon Molesky.
All right, hello, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Pod. It's brought to you by SodaStick.com. I'm Brandon Molesky, Pat Micheletti with me. Hello, Pat. Hope you had a great time over the holidays because I haven't seen you in a while.
No, I did, Brandon, and it's great to see you also.
It is. It's also great to see some Minnesota Wild action back since we have had so many games canceled, but they're back again, at least tonight in Boston. We're now joined by the GM of the Minnesota Wild, Bill Guerin. Bill, really appreciate your time, especially since it looks like you've had a little bit of a busy week with all the transactions I'm seeing over the wire. But before we get to all that stuff, I saw you out on the ice at Target Field. I saw a video of you skating around. I wanted to know, since you've retired, how often have you skated? How often have you played? And do you still got it?
That was probably my first time on the ice in almost a year.
Wow.
And I never play. And I don't have it.
Wow.
But it was fun. I couldn't resist, and I just, you know what? I just jumped out on the tail end of practice too, and it was really cool being out there with all the players and the coaches and stuff, and actually just passing the puck around and taking a few shots on the goalies. It was, it was a blast. It kind of got me going again. I mean. I love the game. Like, it's awesome. That was a cool experience for me.
Hear me out. You know, if the power play's struggling a little bit, you get Madonna, you get yourself. You know, I think there's still something left in there.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit.
I don't know.
Maybe one power play. You know, the goal that you need to win.
Yeah,
the game.
I'd stick Mo out there. I'd probably just stay tight, like right on the bench or in the press box.
Darby still looks like he's in shape. I think he could put Darby out.
Darby's in great shape. No, Darby's
in
great shape. He's as strong as an ox. I mean, that guy. He's it's in his blood, I think. But he doesn't miss curl day.
No.
No. Well, before we talk about your team, I did want to talk about the Olympics. I know obviously you represented Team USA and internationally multiple times wearing the jersey. You know what that means to put on the jersey. I'm not really sure what being a GM of the team is like compared to being a player, but how bummed are you to get the GM job and then to not be able to have the team put together and not go through with the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in the whole thing. It's just but I understand it as well. I'm disappointed for everybody who could have had that great experience. The players especially, careers are short. Even if you play 20 years in the league, careers are short, and opportunities like this don't come up all that often. And so I guess I'm most disappointed for the players. But we're living in this crazy world right now, and who knows what the heck happens. It's kind of like the World Juniors. Like, I just can't believe that they did that, and it was just such a big miss. And again, I'm just so disappointed for those young players. And just it's ridiculous. I don't care if they reschedule it or not; it won't be the same. And it's too bad.
Well, and people don't understand. It's just not like you look at the pool of players and just start picking. I mean, there's a lot of work that you and the staff go through to get the right team too, and then to have it all taken away.
So much work.
I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you that.
Honestly, putting the team together, picking the team, there are so many people that do much more work than that. Like to put on the Olympics or the World Juniors or to get the team, to physically together and travel over there to get all the accommodations right. There are so many people behind the scenes that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, and then to have it kind of just the tablecloth ripped out from under them. It's tough. Yeah, that stinks.
Okay, now we move to everything that I'm hearing and people that I'm talking to. There's going to be a heavy influence of college players right? And with that being said, are there guys that, general managers like yourself are trying to lobby, push, get to play on this Olympic team?
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those, John Van Beesbrook is going to be the general manager. David Quinn will be the coach. Those guys know the players that are available. I think more than college players are going to be American League contracted guys playing in Europe. I'm sure there will be some college players, but not all. But they know the players, and I'm not, actively, guys have agents for that.
Right.
I'm busy enough with the Wild that, and we don't really have, many guys with the Wild that would be eligible because it's only American League contracted guys. So, no, that's what those guys have agents for, and USA Hockey has very capable people, and they've got the book on everybody, so they're in good hands.
Bill, obviously this week there's been a bunch of news, but the big news is Marco Rossi and Matt Boldy will make their debuts. Obviously, first-round draft picks for your organization. How many AHL games do you watch? Because obviously you've had the Olympics and you got the Wild. Are you watching every single Iowa Wild game? Are you just constantly in constant communication with the guys down there, the coaching staff? And what have you seen from those two that lead you to believe that they've made the right progress to be ready for tonight?
Well, to answer your question, I don't watch every game. I watch enough. I know what's going on. I'm in constant contact with Mike Murray, who's the general manager of Iowa, and he's in constant contact with Timmy Army and his staff. Mike's down there for 90% of their games, so he's got a firsthand knowledge of what's going on. And these are two important players for us, and with the way that they've been playing this year, I think that they're ready. They're ready for their first taste of NHL action, and that's going to come tonight. And with the injuries that we've had, and there comes opportunity, and that's usually how it goes. And what we're looking for now is for Matt and Marco to come in, and the doors open a little bit, and we're looking for them to kick it wide open and earn a permanent spot. So we'll see how it goes. We're excited to see them play tonight, and it should be good. I'm sure a lot of fans are excited for it.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be down in Iowa a couple of times, and what's really impressed me, not that you really care, is that you can tell they're first rounders, their work ethic, the games that I've seen, just the want to win for the team that they're on, and to make plays, and to want the puck, and to be the guys at the end of the game. That's been something that's really impressed me, with both those young guys, along with other guys, also.
And I think you're right. I think, at the talent level that you see, you can tell that they're pretty high talent level. And then, that's what's great about having, the American League is that, that end of the game situation that even that Marco had the other night, he had 3 points and it came late in the game, and, he might not have gotten that opportunity here in Minnesota.
Right.
And that's what's great about it. They play on a lot of power plays. They kill penalties. They play tough situations. They play, they have to come up with the big goal at the end because they're looked on to do that. Like, that's what's great about that league. And we're lucky to have it. We're lucky to have, Iowa, not too far away, and where we can get down there and watch games. And it's just, that's part of development is playing in those situations. So, we have a great coaching staff down there, and we have a very good setup down there, and we're lucky for our young players to be in an environment like that.
Is it fair to say then, now that they're with the NHL team, that you kind of want them in those similar situations, right? I don't imagine you want both those two, playing 9-10 minutes a night and not being out there on the power play in those type of situations? Is it fair to say if they're going to stay at the NHL, they need to be in those situations here?
Yeah. You know what? This game has changed so much in so many different ways, and that's one of them. Like these young kids, there's no more, he's got to play in the fourth line and earn his way up, or he's got to earn it. He's got to, not earn it, but like these guys will be put in situations that they're going to succeed. You know what?
Yeah.
Young kids now, they're put on the power play. You know what? They kill penalties. They're put in tough situations. They're put out at the end of the game right away. You know why? Because we need them. We need them more than ever. There's a salary cap. We need this young, cheaper talent to be able to produce. And you know what? That's the way it should be. You know what? These two guys are supposed to be top six forwards for us. Why the heck are we going to have them in a bottom six role? We don't want these guys running around trying to finish all their checks and blocking shots and doing this and doing that. There are guys that are very important that do those roles, but that's not what these guys do.
No.
So, yeah, they're going to play in the power play. They're going to play special teams and get a lot of ice time and stuff because we need them to.
Billy, I think we've all seen, when you have your full complement in the lineup, you can play or are as good as anybody in the league. I think we've all seen that. Now, you got 3 key guys out, maybe 4 now, I guess, with Talbot not playing tonight. But how do you what's the word I'm looking for? How's that? What's your understanding of? Okay, this is what we have. Does that put you, a little bit more? Okay, we get these guys back.
Injuries happen. Injuries happen. COVID happens. All this stuff happens, and there's nothing you can do about it. But you still have to. You still have to play the games to win. And like I said before, opportunity. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity for Capo Kakinen. This is an opportunity, for some of our defensemen to play higher in the lineup. This is an opportunity for our younger players to now get in the lineup. So all the guys that want more and expect to do more, well, here's your chance. You want to be a number one this or a number one that, or you think you can play up the lineup, here's your chance. And it's not just to play, it's to win. Like we can play anybody higher up the lineup. We can play anybody. We can start anybody in goal. But you have to prove to us that you can do that and help us win. So this is a great opportunity for guys. And we expect nothing different but to win. And you know what? Yeah, we're missing some really good players in our lineup, and we wish we had them back, but we don't. And you've seen it with teams like Colorado that, they were decimated at the beginning of the season with COVID and injuries and stuff. Well, they're healthy now. Now they're coming on strong. So we have to be strong enough to weather this storm. We have to be mentally tough enough to keep working through this and to come up with points and not just fold our tents.
I want to ask you about Kevin Fiala, who I think he probably hasn't scored at the rate that he's used to scoring at, and probably would want to see the puck go in the net a bit more. But Billy's had a ton of chances this year. He's probably leading the league in posts hit for all I know.
There's no stat for that.
How do you evaluate Fiala's game this year? Is it just a matter of a guy who's playing well, who's just not finishing, or are there other elements of his game that he needs to improve on?
There are always elements of a guy's game that he can improve on. And Dean's talked to Kevin about certain aspects of his game that he can improve on. Kevin's had some bad luck, but we need him to score, bottom line. And I think Kevin plays hard every night. I never question his effort, but we just, bottom line, we need him to score. And he's an important player for us. So, he does put in the effort. He tries hard. I know he wants to produce for us. So, that's, I guess, the important part. I haven't seen him feeling sorry for himself. And that's also another thing, is that Kevin's just kind of trying to work through it. And, I think in the last couple of games, he's gotten a few goals, and hopefully he can, just keep that going.
Overall, Billy, through to where we are now in the season, what's your overall assessment of where you guys are, where you need to, what you need to do to get even better at this point?
Well, obviously we had a really good start. Our first, 25 games were really good. We're in a bit of a slide right now, but it's just so clear to me right now that we are a team that has a certain identity. And when we play to our identity, we can beat anybody. And when we don't, we're only hurting ourselves, and we're not as good as we can be. We need to play a certain style of hockey in order to win. And you know what? We can't. We have to embrace it. It's a harder, in your face, more aggressive style that we need to play, and it's hard. It's hard to play that way every night, but that's the way we need to play.
I'm going to ask you as a. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Pat mentioned the significance of some of the injuries you had earlier. Obviously, Brodin's coming back from COVID, but the Spurgeon injury is significant. Joel Erik's neck, I find as a fascinating injury because I kind of have the opinion, Bill, that Marcus Foligno and Jordan Greenway play at their best when they're with him. So it's almost like you're, not that those two are eliminated from the lineup, even though Greenway is now on the COVID list, but it seems like Joel Erik's neck has an impact more than just himself individually, that it almost kind of breaks up an entire line when he's out.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has an impact on not just those two guys, but the team. And I think that's a sign of a really good player is when you make the guys around you better. It's just a very good line for us. When those three guys are together, they're very hard to contain. They're miserable to play against. So, we just want Joel to, heal up as quick and as well as he can. And, we'll get him back when we get him back. But like I said, we need the other guys to step up and, and fill in for him.
Hey, Billy, one guy, and Brandon just brought him up. And trust me, Brandon and I hear about him all the time, with fans. And that's Jordan Greenway. And, when you look at Jordan Greenway, his production, last year, I think he led the team in assists and so forth and so on. But, his production offensively, his numbers aren't there. I mean, they are what they are. Do you, when you look at him, do you just say, okay, this is what we want out of him? Obviously, you'd like more production, but I mean, are you happy with the way that Jordan is progressing and playing for your team this year?
You know what? The last 10 games have been really happy with him. He's been a force. I mean, when Jordan puts his mind to it and wants to play physical, wants to use his big frame. I think the hard thing for a guy like Jordan is being 6'5", 240 pounds with a really good skill set, because you want to play, you want to make plays, you want to handle the puck. But and I went through this in my own career too. You want to be this playmaker. I just wasn't at my best when I tried to play that high skilled game because I wasn't that skilled.
Yeah.
Jordan's kind of the same way. He's skilled, but he's not that skilled where he can just rely on that. You have to use, you got to use what God gave you. And if he gave you size and strength and, a big rangy body that you can play a physical offense, then that's what he has to do. And, the last 10 games, maybe 15 games, he's been really, really good. And he's seen his production go up. But, we always want more.
Sure.
You do. You always want more. And it's not always fair to the players, but Jordan's been really good.
All right, last question for you, Bill. Obviously, you won a lot as a player, but I'm sure there was times as a player you went through losing streaks like the team's going through right now. And it's kind of the first time in Dean Evason's tenure that you've had to, handle adversity to this extent, and with the players injured that you have now. What's kind of the key to getting out of a 5-game losing streak? Because I do think at some point probably it starts getting in the player's head, and maybe you're not playing, whether it's a structural thing or a confidence thing, not playing the way you're supposed to. What's kind of the key to getting out of a malaise like this?
To me, it's we're not going to score our way out of this. It's get back to our identity, get back to the way we play, and we got to make it ugly. You know what? If you're in a scoring slump, you're not going to be. You can't stay to the outside, and you're not going to score a pretty goal. What do? You go to the net, you get in the blue paint, and one goes off your leg or whatever. That's kind of what we have to do here. There's no reason to implode or to start pointing fingers or say, look, we got to face this head on, and just get back. Put our work boots on and our hard hat on and get back to work. That's it.
It's a tough league. It's a tough league. Everyone wants to win.
It's a good
right?
league. The other team's trying to win too.
Yeah.
Bill, really appreciate your time. Have fun tonight in Boston.
Thanks,
hopefully
Billy.
we can snap that losing streak.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Right,
Take care.
Bill Guerin, GM of the Minnesota Wild. Before we talk with Pat, let's talk about sodastick.com. Go to sodastick.com to get your original Minnesota sports-inspired goods. If you haven't seen this stuff yet, you got to check it out. All their apparel is screen printed here in Minnesota on super soft, super comfy shirts. You will love it, and we're going to hook you up with 15% off your next order. So use the code KFN for 15% off. That is sodastick.com, original Minnesota sports-inspired goods. Use the code KFN for 15% off your next order. Pat, there's lots of wild topics to talk about here. From Boldy and Rossi to Brodin back in the lineup, Greenway out of the lineup, Cam Talbot hurt. Unfortunately, as fans and media members, we really don't get the extent of these injuries. We don't know how long he's going to be out, or Spurgeon's going to be out, or Jewel Ertz next out. But I guess let's talk about the two guys that you've seen down in Iowa, and Matt Boldy and Marco Rossi. Let's begin with Boldy first, since he's been with the Wild a year longer. From what you've seen down there in Iowa, what have you seen of his game?
Well, I think I told you the first game I did a couple months ago. He was a man amongst boys. He was by far the best player on the ice, and it was not even close. And then, then he continued on, gets hurt. I see his first game back last week. And he was again, best player on the ice. He just, you look at him and you see a National Hockey League player. I mean, he's smart. He handles the puck well. He shoots it extremely well, much better than I thought. So I think he's more than ready to be up here.
Going back to the prospects camp, when I was watching him in some of the prospect scrimmages, you said that he looks like an NHL player, and that was my first thought watching him. Is like he just looked like a man amongst boys out there. Like he looked like he was physically an NHL player in terms of strength and size. And, he's not going to be a super flashy player. Like he's not going to give you Kirill Kaprizov highlights.
No.
But in terms of he does a lot of little things, I think, that can help you win. And, he's the kind of guy that defensively will get a stick on a puck to break up a pass. And all of a sudden you're going the other way in an odd man rush. Like he does a lot of those little things that can be unnoticed.
Yeah. And I'll allude back to what Billy was talking about, late in the game when they needed to tie it and win it. The pass he made to Marco Rossi to set him in before Rossi got tugged down, which led to the penalty shot, was unbelievable. I mean, not a lot of guys in the National Hockey League could have made that pass. He had two guys on him, and somehow, and listen, your head's not up just looking around to see who you can find a player. It was one quick look, and then he just flicked it to Rossi, who was streaking in. And I mean, it was such a good play that we take for granted that, nice play. But it was an unbelievable play that not many people can make. I know just by watching, it was, incredible. So I think, people are going to really, really like him. And like you said, he's not going to come up here and be this flashy player. And nor is Rossi. And let's get to Rossi. I've seen improvement on him. I think I told you, I think he needed more time because, just getting his timing down and getting rid of the puck a little bit quicker. And, I think he's done that in that time frame. I don't know if he's quite there yet. And here's another guy that you may not notice throughout the whole game. You might not notice, but in a crucial time or when you need a play to make a play, he can make a play. And and I tell you what, he is fearless. He wants it. He plays hard. So it's I think obviously it's going to be their first games. They're going to be pumped tonight. They may play great tonight and not so great the next night, but ultimately I think they're both NHL ready.
Yeah, I was going to ask you specifically about Rossi because obviously he's a guy that I liked a lot before the draft. We haven't seen a whole lot of him because he had the COVID, the heart problems last year. And then I obviously haven't seen him down in Iowa other than just the highlights you see on online. Kind of the knock on him going into the draft and maybe why he fell was his size. He's only 5'9".
Right.
No, he's a strong 5'9". I mean, he's not light on his skates, but has had some injury issues down in Iowa this season where he's been knocked around a bit. Do you have any concerns, long term at the NHL with even bigger, stronger guys that they, might handle him physically a little bit?
Well, initially maybe because he's got to learn it. He's got to learn. I can't go there. I can't hit this guy, or if I go there, I'm gonna get smothered. You got to pick your spots, right? And just like we talked about with Kaprizov last year, fighting through that traffic in the playoffs, which is a different traffic than he saw during the regular season. This upcoming playoffs, I think Kaprizov is going to be, better because of that year. So I think it's all about learning, and like Billy said, you never really stop learning and finding new ways, and so he'll have to find his way. But I tell you one thing, and it looks like he's going to be used on the power play. I think that is a great move because his vision and his passing is really, really good. And let's face it, the power play is struggling a little bit right now. And you need guys who know how to work the power play, and he does. I tell you, he does.
Well, and with Joel Eriksson Ek out of the lineup, obviously there's kind of a hole for that number one center to be anyways, and he kind of logically makes the most sense. Matt Boldy I've always liked on the power play when I've seen him back in the World Juniors, and he's for a guy his size, he can distribute the puck and he can move the puck. I've always liked him on the goal line, or I'm sure he's also a guy who could.
He's been playing on the half wall, and they've been setting him up for the one-timers down there, and that's where I didn't know a lot about his shot, but man, he can fire it, and he gets it off quick. Another guy we need to talk about. I don't know if he's in the lineup tonight, but really, Connor Dewar.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a faster Joel Eriksson Ek. That's Connor Dewar. He's playing in the middle. He wins draws. He is. He's got some. He's probably got a little bit more offensive flair than Ek does. He's really responsible defensively in all three zones. That 200-foot guy, and he's got blazing speed. So I think, I just look at Minnesota's lineup, right? And I see Gaudreau. He's gotten a ton of chances. He's got 10 points. I see Nico Sturm. Okay, fine, right? Fine on your fourth line. But, he's just fine. And, and Bukestad. And, I think I told you a long time ago, there were 5 or 6 guys that I thought, could play up here. And Dewars is one I really like. I hope they give him a chance to stick around a little bit because in my opinion he can play.
So let me get this straight. You just said that Connor Dewar is a faster, more offensive version of Joel Eriksson Ek. That sounds like a superstar to me.
Ek's pretty good, isn't he? Right? But obviously he doesn't have all of the attributes that an Ek brings you after 5 or 6 years in the league, but he's got that. He's got the ability to get to where Ek is maybe that's a better way to say it. Because he hasn't played enough yet, but he has, he has those attributes, and he's a good, really, really, really good penalty killer too, which you need.
My preseason fears have come to fruition, especially with both Brodin and Spurgeon out. Now they are going to get Brodin back for tonight, so that's major good news. But I tell you what, that Winter Classic without those two in the lineup, the defensemen were hard to watch that night.
Yeah. Yeah. How many times have we talked about it? Fine at the 5 and 6, because that's who you're playing against. And then you have to move up and stop a Tarasenko or a Kyrou or good luck. It's hard enough. It's hard enough for Brodin and Spurgeon every night. And that's why we don't. I don't think some people appreciate that sometimes, because how difficult it is. So there's no question. And is there time? Is there reason to panic? I don't think so, because once everybody is back in the lineup, they're a darn good team. Now, do I think ultimately, unless a doer really steps up or, Boldy and Rossi really step up, I think when you're looking long-term, and I'm not talking from a panic perspective right now at all. I'm thinking long-term long-term being this season of, can they get to that next level? I think they're going to have to make a move to get another centerman. I really believe that. I think, I think, with Hartman, fine, with Eck, fine. That gives you two. But I think you're gonna need another guy. I really do.
You're not sold on Rossi being that guy?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know if he steps up, maybe, if not, let me maybe put it this way. They might need another top 6 forward or a really good tweener between a top 6 and that third line, whether it be a winger, whether it be a center.
That sounds like Matt Boldy to me. I mean, we're getting a look at both of them.
Yeah, well, there might be guys. Look, I mentioned Goudreau. I mentioned Bukestad. I don't know how, and I mentioned Sturm. I'm not so sure that getting to that next level, those guys are a part of it. I don't.
Well, we do need to be patient with both Boldy and Rossi. They're still very young. Rossi's 20, Boldy's 21, something like that. I don't know their exact ages, but I know we're in the midst of a 5-game losing streak, and people want immediate impact, and they're probably going to have some flashes here or there, but to think that these two are just going to jump in and be full-time NHLers the rest of the year, and you're on your way to a Stanley Cup, that's a lot to add. I'm not saying it can't happen. That's just a lot to ask for. I mean, you just mentioned Jordan Kyrou for St. Louis. He's a 23-year-old, and 2 years ago he was in the minors, and he stepped up last year and had some more NHL time, and now all of a sudden he's exploding, and that's kind of the age where that happens. So, I do think Boldy and Rossi are both going to be good long term. I just hope people don't panic a little bit if it doesn't happen this year.
Right. Well, exactly. And Brandon, one area that we haven't discussed, and now we're in that phase of having to really take a look at it, is the goaltending situation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Hammond is up, and Hammond was great. Okay. He was great in Iowa the other night that I saw him. Probably stole the game for him. Okay. He's 33 years old. Fine. That's fine. But there's a guy that needs rest. If Kakinen goes down, he's your guy. He's your guy. Right now. I mean, who knows? And who knows?
He does have NHL experience though, and has had stretches where they called him the Hamburglar.
Yep. But you got to be thinking that Billy's thinking, or at least looking around to see what might be available. As an NHL veteran who's played, has experience, and can win some games for you. We'll see how that.
So Pat, before the year was over, when I did the 10 of Fitzgerald, I do my 2022 bold predictions.
I heard it. Yes.
And one of my bold predictions, and it's not necessarily this player, but and this is before Talbot got hurt. I predicted that Braden Holtby would start a game for the Wild in the playoffs. And my rationale was, one, Talbot, I should even say Kakkonen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're convinced Kakkonen can hold the load if Talbot is out. 2, Talbot hadn't been great, so it might not just be a 1-2 situation. You might need to find a 1A, 1B where you can split them, or if Talbot's playing well, you ride Talbot. If he's not playing well, you have another guy that you depend on. And I threw out Holtby's name because, one, he's on a team in Dallas that's, right now on the outside looking in. And if you get to the trade deadline and Dallas is still in the same spot, it makes sense to sell him because they have their goalie of the future, the kid from Lakeville. They, he's going to be a free agent when this year is over. He's making $2 million, so that's an easy salary for the Wild to acquire. Like, to me, that's the kind of goal, and he's playing pretty well. Like, his stats are pretty good, even though Dallas isn't winning. To me, like a Braden Holtby type, a guy who's won in the playoffs, would make a lot of sense to bring him in here for the Minnesota Wild.
I absolutely love that idea, and I'll tell you why. I love it because guess what? He's won a Stanley Cup, and his mindset will change during a playoff run, because he knows what they're playing for, how to do it, been there, won't get rattled. Just the calming factor that you can look at your goaltender and say, we're okay, and not hope and pray that your goaltender makes a save. Not taking anything away from Talbot or, at this stage, but maybe even to give Talbot a little sigh of, it's nice to have another guy here that we both can share the load. And
someone can push him too.
And someone can push him. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because that makes you better too, right?
Yeah.
Or it should. So I love that idea. And I'm going to write that name down.
Well, and the other side of this, Pat, is the Wild are now in a position where they can sell off some of their draft picks because their prospect pool is very highly regarded. Obviously, we're going to see Boldy and Rossi tonight. You got Kusnedinov in Russia. You got Addison and Adam Beckman, and they had 2 first-round picks last year. The Swedish goalie looked good in his World Juniors appearance. Jack Pert from up in the Iron Range as a second-round pick. Like, and not that you're going to give up a first-round pick for Braden Holtby, but they're in a position now where, if they give up a second, third-round pick, like, it's not a big deal because it's not like it was during the Fletcher era where you kept chasing and chasing and chasing. Like, they've got a pretty loaded prospect pool right now.
Yeah, and without a doubt, and I think how this organization has handled Rossi and Boldy, I think has been terrific because they needed time in Iowa. They needed time to build their confidence. They didn't need to be up here like other teams have maybe forced younger players because they're desperate. And so when you're not in a desperate situation, you can make better decisions. And so I think this team is really, obviously we know the issue with the money situation, right? We know it, but again, I think they've accounted for that. And now they're getting guys ready that aren't making a lot of money that can play. And that's the good thing.
All right, Pat, for those listening on Thursday, you and I are doing Wild Fan Line tonight after the Boston Bruins game. You have Beyond the Pond on the Fan Saturday 10 to noon beginning, correct?
Yes, a lot of Olympic talk.
Awesome.
On Saturday. They're supposed to make some announcements today. The investigative reporting that I have done behind the scenes tells me there's going to be a little Minnesota flair in that on that Olympic team, which is great to see, and a lot of the schools are going to be well represented from the state. So it's exciting. At first I wasn't too excited about the college guys leaving, with the quarantine deal, but I think they've got all that figured out from the people that I've talked to. And now I kind of get excited because I'd like to see these young kids get the chance to play at that level.
And I will talk to you next week right back here on Beyond the Pod.
Sounds great. See you tonight.
Right, thanks. Yep, he's Pat Micheletti. I'm Brandon Molesky. This has been Another episode of Beyond the Pod brought to you by sodastick.com. Thank you so much for watching on the KFN YouTube channel or listening on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe. We'll talk to you next week right here on Beyond the Pod. Bye.